First of all, the errors they propagated. They had all sorts of weird teaching. They had a teaching that the resurrection was past, that the only resurrection Christians would have is the spiritual resurrection when they're born again. See? That's being said today, I've heard it. But there's a future resurrection for us. And Paul wanted Timothy to correct that. There was the same Greek attitude to the body, the same asceticism of trying to deny the body food and sex in order to be more holy. Paul told Timothy, you correct that as well. There were certain Jewish elements, an emphasis on genealogies, an emphasis on the kosher food laws. All sorts of things have been coming in, false teaching, assimilating to culture. And above all, they'd got into a lot of foolish controversies and academic discussions which were of no value whatsoever. And you know, there are all sorts of questions we get asked as teachers, and some of them are very sincere, and some of them are very important, and some of them are silly. And we've got to tell people when a question is silly and that it's not going to help them at all. For example, someone came up to me in the last 10 days looking very earnest. Please, could I ask you a question? I've been very troubled. And I said, what is it? And he said, I've been reading the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and it struck me that there's a profound theological principle involved in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I looked at this man. I'm sorry, but I could give you dozens of illustrations like this. And he saw my face. He said, you think I'm crazy, don't you? I said, yes. And the conversation finished then. See? We mustn't get involved in useless discussions. There are important things to discuss and important questions to ask. But you can get involved in all kinds of... Do you know one of the biggest discussions in the Middle Ages among theologians? How many angels could stand on the point of a pin? And it occupied theologians for some considerable time. It's the classic case of getting involved in silly discussions. And you know, when you get bad teaching, that's what it leads to. It leads to silly questions that you go on chewing around. And it does no good to your daily life. There are questions about heaven and hell that I can't answer, that God hasn't answered. And I don't answer them. Because there's no point in getting involved in questions that God hasn't bothered to give us the answer. Let me give you